This is not financial advice, not legal advice. Like, subscribe, comment, scream at me, show it to your favorite uncle, share it, do whatever you want. This is about the recent determination about the crash in 2021, I think in Spring, Texas, where there were two drivers in a Model S who drove from the owner's home, and unfortunately there was an accident. So what happened was the car traveled about 550 feet, was traveling about 70 miles an hour. It went off a curve, hit two trees, burst into flames, and the driver and the passenger were both killed, unfortunately. What was unusual was the driver was found in the back seat. So the question that came up and the allegation was whether Autopilot was engaged and was the driver in the back seat. And there was a lot of hubbub, I would say, that occurred at the time, and there was claims that the Autopilot was inadequate and had engaged, or that people could fool the system and sit in the back seat and actually operate the car. So this became a big deal. It obviously was not good for Tesla stock, and also wasn't good for the reputation of the business. So the accident occurred April 2021. The determination by the National Transportation Safety Board occurred in January of 2023. And their determination was that the Autopilot could not have been engaged. There were no lane markings. The speed was too fast for it to have gone, and so therefore the Autopilot was not engaged. And they also found that the reason why the driver was found in the back seat was when the airbag deployed, the driver actually was shoved into the back seat, and that's why nobody was in the front seat at the time of the accident. So that's great in terms of the determination for Tesla, but that occurred 24 months after the original accident and whatever damage that had occurred, and it was not with the same fanfare, obviously, that the original accident was presented. So is there any remedy at law for something like this? And I'm just kind of speculating a little bit about this. What can you do to get back the damages and the loss in value that occurred because of the damage to reputation? And so we kind of look at where could you go. Could you go against the government because they made allegations of misconduct? And probably not. If it's just that they were negligent and or that was their opinion, then they're probably immune and there's no liability. If it was a private person and they were slandering or accusing someone of misconduct, like they accused, let's say, Elon of misconduct. Elon's a public figure, so in order to recover against someone who might slander a public figure, it has to be done with malice and intent, and those are difficult things to prove, and that's why there's not a lot of slander lawsuits that you see filed, because they're difficult to win. I did participate in a trial one time, a slander trial, and I'm going to do a separate video on that at some later point in time, because it was a very amusing trial. At least I thought it was amusing. So the rule about that you have to prove malice, and you also have to prove damages. The only exception to that is like if you accuse someone of criminal misconduct, and then that's per se slander, per se actionable, per se you don't even have to prove damages, they're just presumed. But in terms of a defamation claim, I don't really see it there. So the other claim that might apply would be there's a set of claims that are called business interference claims. So that's interference with your existing contracts, or it could be interference with future contracts. And there was a gentleman by the name of Dan O'Dowd who, when he was running for governor, and I think prior, was offering claims about, negative claims about the autonomous driving system, the FSD software, and he was really ripping on Elon and Tesla. And he continued that during his gubernatorial run, because he ran for governor of California, and I don't think more than about 4 people voted for him. But he made the same claims during his run for governor. When you're in a political environment, almost all speech is protected. So not only do you have a First Amendment right, but you have a special right when there's a ongoing political campaign. So even if he made claims that were improper about FSD, they're probably not actionable. But what's interesting is I read, and I'm making this before the Super Bowl, I read something that O'Dowd is going to have a claim today in the Super Bowl, a commercial, where he's going to assert some type of claim regarding FSD during the Super Bowl. And that will be interesting because he's not running for office. I wonder if there'll be some type of disclaimer. I wonder if it will be very ambiguous. And after I see it later on, I will comment on it because I kind of have a thought process about what Tesla can and cannot do to deal with such, I consider this in essence a short seller report, because Mr. O'Dowd runs a company that is, let's say, in competition to FSD, although it is substantially behind it. So I think there may be conflict questions and other issues, and there may be other ways to deal with that, but I will deal with that in a separate video. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Let's see who wins. Have a good Sunday.